So it's amazing to have you here in Vienna. What was your first thought when you hear you're invited here?
Wow, that was my first thought. I thought, wow, cool, okay, that's great. Well done, Aurélien, who's my booker. I had booked something in France, I guess about 3 months ago. I was in Pau, which is at the base of the Pyrenees Mountains. And not long after that, he said, I've got something for you in Vienna. And I was like, cool, I love Vienna. Ah, Vienna. You know, big song from my childhood. So I was really excited to come. I was hoping I would get to see more of the city, but, you know, oh well.
I'm sure you have been on many other conventions too. What does it mean for you to go to such events?
It's an honor, and I truly mean that. I started doing conventions 4, 5, or 6 years ago. Whenever I first appeared on Game of Thrones, I can't remember. Time is like, but I was expecting something very different. I was expecting people tell you, oh, everybody's weird and everybody's odd, and that has not been my experience at all. I find the people across the world, really, that I've been to Mexico City, I've been to America, I've been all over the UK, France now, here in Vienna. And the common thread is that the people are genuinely here to have a good time because it's their day off. They do other jobs. They want to express their gratitude for the work I do, which is incredible. You know, that's a very great honor that I've spent small amount of time on screen as the White Walker, but to have made such an impact on people where they've bought toys and they bring them to me for me to sign. They want pictures with me. It's an opportunity for me to meet people who've seen the show, which you don't get to do often when you're working in film and television. Theater, you always, you have your audience in front of you, but you don't have that. So here is an opportunity to meet people. And I get to meet other actors from Game of Thrones, which is amazing because I never work with them on set. And other actors from other shows like Jason Isaacs, who I love, who's in Star Trek, Chase Masterson, who is at this convention, and I've seen at several conventions, who I know. So you get to catch up with people, get to see Adam as well from The Hobbit. It's just good. It's really, really overall it's the best part of my job and an easy one. So, yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about The White Walker.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about your audition for it?
Oh, okay. Well, my agent phoned and said that they wanted to see me for Game of Thrones. So I showed up and I said, I'm here for King of Thrones, because I thought it was King of Thrones, she said. And they said, no, it's Game of Thrones. And I said, oh, okay, is it a game? Because I've done a lot of games, voiced them in motion capture. And they said, no, it's it's an HBO show. It's a really big deal. It's going into its second season. And I was like, all right. And they're like, it's based on books. And I thought, I'm not going to get this because I don't know what I'm doing. But the makeup artist who was at the audition was someone I had worked with on Clash of the Titans. And he wanted to work with me again. So he took me through a lot of different things. They gave me a big cardboard inner tube as a sword. And they said, just stand in the middle of the room. There's a baby on the floor. Look like you're going to do something really awful to the baby. Like, just look like you're going to do something really horrible. Just whatever. So I sort of walked around and I was like pointing my sword and, And then I walked over and I picked up a baby, imaginary baby, and brought it up, and then I kissed it. And everybody burst out laughing. And they went, oh, it was really scary up until that point. I was like, well, I didn't know what to do. I wasn't going to kill the baby. So, and then they wanted to know if I rode a horse, which I don't. So they offered to send me out on horseback riding lessons. They wanted me to express a desire to get back into prosthetic work again. And that was it, really. They phoned and they were like, yeah, let's do it. So then you start body casting and then you start going for screen tests and everything, getting what the White Walker is going to look like just right. Yeah, that was basically it.
How was your horse lessons?
Amazing. I went for my first lesson. I was in the what's called the Devil's Horseman, where they train me. There's all stunt men and stunt women, and my stunt woman she brought out the horse for me for my first test. She said, "Are you okay? Just stay here." And it was nighttime. I went at like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. It was around November or December when I got cast. And she said, "You just stay here in the ring. I'm going to go get your horse." And so I was sort of standing around waiting, and she walks in with this horse, and it's like huge white horse, like massive. And I don't have hair, but all my hair stood on end. I was like, yee! And I could feel like my stomach kind of going, oh. And she brought him over and she said, "Are you scared?" And I went, "Yes." And she went, "Good. Good answer. You should be scared because this animal can kill you. If you are stupid and you're not scared and you get on him and you're reckless, like a car, if you don't know how to drive it, it can really hurt you." So she said, "It's good if you're scared, but don't worry. I'm going to teach you how to ride a horse." And she did. She did over a period of about 4 months.
Good to hear. So, and how long did it last to get into the mask of the...
5 hours to get completely into the body, face, and the hands, and the blending, and everything takes 5 hours. And then I have 12 hours to film. And then I have 2 hours to take off all the makeup. I have about 3 or 4 hours to maybe sleep. And then I'm back in the chair again. But as hard as it is for me, it's harder for the makeup artists because they're there an hour before me and an hour after me. So, yeah.
What have you been thinking when you were sitting there?
Thinking, we just talk. We gossip, of course. Everybody's got stories about working with other actors and famous stories of working on sets. Some of them worked on Batman movies and things. So you just ask people, and it's very relaxed. It's not like it's not like an office job where people are very, you must do this. I sit still. I get up. I move around. I have tea. They're playing music, we relax, we have a good laugh. It's really, really fun.
Okay. Do you think the White King will conquer Westeros?
Yes and no. I think that there will be a substantial amount of damage done. I think, personally, that Game of Thrones might have just a big, big change of what it's about. That it won't be about sitting on the throne. That it'll be more about getting rid of the throne and coming together to defeat your biggest enemy, which will be the White Walkers and their White Walker dragon, and they have to kind of come together. I have a feeling the throne will be destroyed. That's what I think. That's just what I think. I think it'll be destroyed.
Okay. If you would live in Westeros, in which kingdom would you live and why?
That's a good question. The warmest of all of them. What one's that? That's Daenerys's, isn't it? I think so, yes. Yeah, I want to live in the hot climate because I'm sick of doing all the filming in cold bits and at night and dark and looking ugly. I want to wear my bathing suit. Okay. So the hottest of them all, yeah.
Okay. So coming to another project of you, as I'm right, you played 3 different roles in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
How does it come about?
Wow, well, I played the Silence in Matt Smith's last episode, Time of the Doctor. How did that come about? Very unusual story. I got a call from Doctor Who, and they literally said, "We are really stuck. We need somebody to play the Silence in 2 days. Where are you right now?" And I said, I'm like in Soho. I'm in London, like on my mobile phone. They said, "Meet us at this hotel and ask for, just say Doctor Who when you come in." So I was like, okay. This is all through my agent. So I showed up at a hotel and I said, "I'm here for Doctor Who." They said, "It's room 305. So I went upstairs and They gave me the key. I opened it up. I sat in a room by myself on the bed. Then knock, knock, knock. A guy comes in. He's got the silence head and the hands. And he was like, put this on. Does it fit? And I was like, yeah. He was like, great. The costume girl is on her way. Knock, knock, knock. Girl shows up. She's like, put on this suit. So I put on the suit. She's like, does it fit? And I was like, yeah. She goes, do you want to do the job? And I was like, yeah, I'm free to do the job. She said, because I'm just going to phone them now and say you can do the job, yeah? So I was like, in my underwear going, okay, all right, okay. So that's how I got the silence. And then 2 days I was filming. So it was a fast replacement. They needed somebody to fill in quick, and I was able to do it. And then after that, they phoned me and they said, listen, when Peter Capaldi takes over, we wanted to offer you a role that would be tailor-made for you playing the teller. So that was all much more the way you normally go about it. They did casts for me and everything. Shot that. And then 2 years ago, I went back and I played a Wraith for Jenna Coleman's last episode, for Clara's last episode. I was on one of those hoverboards. They wanted people to do that. I filmed for about 3 days, and then I had a terrible accident and banged my head really hard. And I couldn't film anymore, but they had the footage they needed. So there you go. Those are my Doctor Who stories.
So maybe we will see you once again?
Maybe. Never on a hoverboard, though.
One of your first steps in the movie business was behaving badly as a puppeteer.
Yeah.
How does it come?
Well, I trained with Jim Henson's company, the Muppets, back in 1993 or 92, 93. My trainer was Kevin Clash, who does the voice of Elmo, and he puppeteers Elmo, Elmo on Sesame Street. And I didn't puppeteer for years after that. I didn't really like puppeteering. Then around 2004, I found myself in financial debt, and I was really struggling, like every actor finds themselves in a real difficult situation. My agent phoned, and she said, well, there's a job, but it's a puppeteering job, and I know you don't really like puppeteering. And I was like, let me hear it. She said, well, it's on a Sunday morning. It's live on television. It won't take very long to do, just 1 day out of the week. And you do it for a year, and you'll clear your debt. And I was like, let's do it. So I did it. The character became very popular, and he got his own sitcom called Bear Behaving Badly. And I did that for 6 years. And he saved my life. He saved my financial life. And he gave me the opportunity to audition for Clash of the Titans. The casting director was interested because of Bear Behaving Badly. And I got Clash of the Titans because of Clash. I got Game of Thrones because of Game of Thrones. I got Doctor Who and so on and so forth. So that little bear, gave me my foot that I needed into the career that I have. Weird, huh?
Weird story, really.
Yeah.
Coming to one of your last films, Sharknado 5.
Hey, yeah. Global swarming.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you want to tell us about that movie?
Well, the producers got in touch with me in a very non-traditional way. They messaged me on Facebook and they said, listen, do you know the Sharknado movies? And I said, yeah, I know them. Well, we're trying to get somebody from Game of Thrones. We would love anybody from Game of Thrones who wants to do it. Would you like to do it? And I said, sure, I'll do it. Absolutely. They said, okay, great. You're going to play a butler. And I was like, okay, cool. And then they got back to me about a week later and they said, wow, we watched your show reel. You're really good. We're going to give you some lines. And you're going to play a Sharknado expert who then gets eaten. And I was like, as long as I get eaten, I'm happy. It was fantastic for me, weirdly. I got to work with some really bizarre people that I've always loved from my childhood, like Nichelle Nichols from Star Trek. I also got to work with some very modern day heroes of mine. Like I watch a lot of reality TV. So Portia Williams was in it, who's one of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I love the Real Housewives of Atlanta. My assistant is played by Abby Lee Miller from Dance Moms, who I hate, but she's amazing, who's in prison right now. And I got to work with Katie Price, who you guys probably don't know. She's a very big Brit. Oh, do you know Katie Price? Yeah. Well, she sat next to me in makeup, and I was like, oh my God, I'm sat next to Katie Price. So Sharknado was like awesome for me. I had a really, really good time. I also got to work with Ian Ziering, Tara Reid, Cassie Serbo. They were super cool.
It's a real big cast there.
Yeah.
Is there any character, any film you would like to play in the future?
Well, that's a really interesting question because, and people often ask me, what would you like to do in the future? It's always an actor's dream to create a role, you know? So for me, the White Walker is mine, you know? I didn't know what the White Walker was until I did it. I've played Polish gangsters, I've played drag queens, I've played all kinds of characters. I'm looking forward to making another character iconic. That would be amazing for my career. I would love that. I would love it to be out of makeup, but if it's in makeup, that's fine too. I've always wanted to play like an aging cowboy. Yeah, that's what I'd like to do. An aging cowboy or an aging rock star. Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about your next project?
Well, I'm doing a movie called Perpetual, which is going to be shot in Utah next year. It's based on a book called The German by Lee Thomas, and it's a political thriller, serial killer thriller, and it's pretty cool. It's going to be based not in Germany, which is where the book takes place. It's going to be reset and, it's set in America, but it's set during World War II. But they're changing that to be sort of around Trump time, like now, more modern. And the parallels are really, really cool. It's about well, I won't spoil it for you, but I'll be playing like a deputy sheriff in a serial killer movie, which I can't wait.
So nearly a cowboy.
Yeah, nearly a cowboy. Nearly a cowboy. Yeah, deputy sheriff. I'll have a big mustache for sure.
Okay. Last question. Is there any last thing you want to tell to our viewers? Any advice for the future or how they can get into the movie?
Oh, how they can get into
business,
the industry?
Yes.
Well, I had a great teacher, Don McQuarrie, once say to me, if you want to be in this industry, you just have to stick to it. You've got to have what they call stick-to-itiveness. So, because it doesn't really matter how good or bad you are. I mean, it's good if you're good, but you got to have a gimmick. You've got to have something. You've got to know how to sell yourself. You've got to want it, you know. There are so many different aspects of this industry. It's good to find where you feel most comfortable in and work that. I always say at the end of the day, you know, Judi Dench and Pamela Anderson, they work in the same industry, just in different branches of the department, you know? So you can find your little way in this world. You just got to find it and stick to it. And don't look over your shoulder at somebody else. Just pay attention to yourself.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.